In preparation for this video, I did as much research on Jake Paul's life as I could. And after learning more about his life story, I can definitely understand how he came to believe in the type of God that he now claims to believe in. But I also think that it's a concept of God that can only reinforce his deepest fears and trauma rather than help him out of it. So let me explain. If you trace Jake Paul's religious history back to the beginning, then you'll know that him and his older brother Logan claim to have been raised in a Christian home. But as Logan has said on his podcast, both of them have drifted away from their Christian roots as they got older.
We grew up religious. We both kind of got turned off to it.
As far as we know, Logan has never revisited Christianity again, but Jake did attempt to reconnect to his faith a few years ago after wanting to give up on life altogether.
Like, I don't want to be here on earth anymore.
How did you get through it?
I just started going to church.
But it appears that Jake revisiting Christianity didn't last long, as he seemed to move on from the Christian idea of God in favor of a different type of God that he now claims to believe in, which, by the way, may seem like an interesting choice unless you understand what he went through in childhood. At an early age, Jake seemed to learn that the people that get love and praise from others are those who accomplish great things, and those who don't receive love and praise from others are those that fail to accomplish great things. In a recent interview talking about his childhood, he said this about his older brother Logan.
I envied the praise that he got from teachers and my parents. And my parents never gave me love or praised me for what, I wasn't accomplishing anything, so rightfully so, but they should have still loved me anyways.
Well, you felt like they loved you less?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, love and acceptance is something that all of us want, because without it, life is really hard. So it makes sense to me why this impacted Jake so much at a young age. So coming to this realization seemed to have played a role in motivating Jake to be so competitive with Logan, even in an unhealthy way, wanting to accomplish more than Logan did so that way he could have the love and acceptance that he was desperately seeking.
And for me, it's I want to be better than my older brother.
In what ways were you and your brother competitive with one another?
I remember the biggest thing was we both played the same exact position, running back and middle linebacker, but he was 2 years ahead. And so in a weird way, I've still done that up until this day, to be honest. I think there was parts of it that were super unhealthy.
Since Jake was made to believe that achieving great accomplishment would reward and grant you with love and acceptance, then it would make sense for Jake to conclude that failing to accomplish great things will bring you the opposite reaction from people: hate and criticism. And it seems to me that this is what started Jake's obsession with proving the haters wrong, which is a theme in almost every single interview that I've seen him in so far.
Speaking of haters,
haters. I have the haters.
The haters.
In high school, Jake wanted to be the best wrestler on his team, even though he was mediocre. But still, he set out to prove the haters wrong, and within 1 year, he worked so hard that he apparently succeeded in becoming the best wrestler on the team. But despite this great accomplishment, the haters didn't give him any credit for it, and instead of validating him for his success, they posted clips online of him losing matches in order to invalidate his accomplishment.
Then you'd have the haters. I lost my junior year, I lost 6 matches, and all of them were on Vine.
No way. Just
all of them were on
Jake
Vine.
sucks.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh my God.
Jake Paul losing, Jake Paul getting his whatever. Blah,
No
blah, blah.
way.
So
That sucks.
And something else similar happened in high school as well, when Jake became successful on the platform Vine. Despite him quickly becoming one of Vine's top creators, Jake said that the haters still dismissed him and didn't give him the love and acceptance that he deserved.
People treat me different, but then there's the people who are haters.
people would, even fans would comment oh, Logan's Vines are so much better. And
How'd that make you feel?
It was a tough thing to deal with.
The pain that came from their dismissal of his success has stuck with Jake to this day.
People from my school were your videos aren't funny, you're an idiot, you're cringe, you're a clown, you're making fun, you look stupid. And that affected me. And it still does, till this day, because those comments are real.
Now, I can understand how painful this must have been for Jake. If he believed that his accomplishments would grant him love and acceptance, imagine what it would feel like to still be met with hate and rejection from people, despite your accomplishments. Somewhere around this time, Jake seemed to make it his life's mission to prove the haters wrong. That way, people would be forced to show him the love and acceptance that he deserved.
Is that your superpower?
I think so.
You can be hated and then continue to push through?
Yeah, and using it as motivation. And
I framed his email and put it above my desk as motivation every day to just prove him wrong.
The most notable of his achievements, of course, was his success on YouTube after high school. Eventually, Jake finally got the kind of success on YouTube that even his haters couldn't dismiss as a fluke. He quickly became one of the top creators in the world on YouTube, generating millions of subscribers and even meeting his own personal goal of surpassing his brother Logan in subscribers.
And for me, it's like, I want to be better than my older brother. I always told myself, and even when I passed him on YouTube, like, that's like a goal of mine.
You pass him on YouTube now,
I passed him on YouTube.
Finally, he made it. He was finally able to prove the haters wrong. Until the unthinkable happened. Unfortunately, like his past endeavors, his greatest accomplishment so far would also get stripped from him. But only this time, it had nothing to do with anything that he specifically did himself. In 2018, his brother Logan filmed a body in the Japanese forest, which made headlines everywhere, causing both Logan and Jake to be blacklisted and seemingly losing everything overnight.
I'm sitting there 21, I lose basically all my income because of something my brother did. I'm blacklisted, I'm not in the community anymore. They bring up everything that I did wrong, they sort of lumped it all in together. Like, look at these Paul brothers and how bad they are. We got canceled everywhere. And so I just saw everything in my life was just falling apart. People hated me.
After losing what he worked so hard for, and after failing to prove the haters wrong, he felt like he lost everything and even lost his motivation to live.
I think, you know, dark thoughts come into your head of like, yo, this is like, I don't want to be here on earth anymore.
Did you think about taking your own life?
Yeah, 100%.
And maybe the worst part about all of this is that he could have asked for help, but he didn't because he didn't want to prove the haters right.
Because I just felt embarrassed to ask for help. I was just like, this is exactly what everyone wants. You know, the media wants to see me fail. And I'm not gonna give them what they want.
It seems that because proving the haters wrong was something that was such a core motivation for him in life, that he would rather risk his mental health and possibly his life, also that way he wouldn't give the haters the upper hand.
I didn't want to look weak to anybody.
It was in the midst of this terrible depression that Jake found himself revisiting the religion of his youth as he started going back to church again, which he credits to helping him get out of this deep, dark depression.
How did you get through it?
I think at the time I was just looking for hope. And so I just like started going to like church.
But according to a podcast that Logan put out a couple of years ago, Jake has since abandoned any and all faith once again.
His brother's religious, goes to church.
Not anymore.
Oh,
Not
is
anymore.
he not either?
He tried it because he was lost, as most religious people do. They try it because they're lost, and it gives them a sense of direction and hope.
It's around this time that Jake joined Logan's podcast himself, where he eventually ended up breaking down crying over not knowing what to do with his life and how miserable the haters have made his life.
And it goes back to like people just like attacking Jake Paul and like wanting to see me fail for literally like fucking nothing. Like they're suing me for something I didn't do. It just pisses me off. And then
You're good. Take a break. Take a break.
Yeah, take a breather.
So at this point in life, probably feeling as though the haters are winning, Jake would once again be reminded of the lack of love and acceptance that his heart has always longed for. But since that interview, as most of you probably already know, Jake seems to have found a new purpose in becoming a professional boxer. Boxing has given Jake yet another chance to prove the haters wrong, giving his life meaning and purpose once again, and reinvigorating his motivation to live.
When I took that W on the biggest stage possible, and I proved everyone wrong, and I had worked so hard to achieve that.
Really, boxing is just so perfect for that because you could just shut people the up.
Like always, Jake's been driven by being so good at what he does that the haters have no choice but to respect him. And so far, he seems to be headed down that path, turning haters into fans. At the time of this recording, Jake hasn't lost a single fight and has KO'd everybody that he's fought so far, including UFC worldwide champions like Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley. defying everybody's expectations. However, boxing still comes with a great risk to his life. Jake Paul once again seems to be risking his health and his life for the sake of proving the haters wrong, as multiple doctors have told Jake that he should stop boxing in order to prevent worsening his current brain injuries.
Yeah, so I got my brain scanned. You know, the doctor told me there's lack of blood flow from the concussions I had when I played football into certain areas of my brain. After my first year of boxing, I went back, and it was worse.
What did the doctor say?
I mean, you know, their advice is don't do that sport.
But Jake doesn't plan on stopping boxing anytime soon, and instead is planning on winning a world title while remaining undefeated for the rest of his career. So how does all of this tie into how Jake understands God? Well, not too long ago, Jake seems to have updated us on his religious views, and he seems to think of God in a way that correlates very closely with his personal life's mission.
There is some sort of like higher power, I think, that's like guiding my journey here.
Okay.
I'm very spiritual. And just the way that all the knockouts have unfolded and all the fights and the way that this is going, I feel like there's like a higher purpose for my career. And I think it's just to show kids that anything is possible, and that if you really set your mind to something, no matter how many critics you have or how much you have to deal with, or if everyone hated you at one point in your career, you can overcome that.
So as you just heard, Jake seems to believe that there's a higher power that's guiding his boxing career in order to show people that they can overcome anything. But the problem is, what happens if he fails? And what happens if he can't overcome anything? What if for some reason he's unable to go on to accomplish these great things that he set out to? And what happens if he loses his next, or maybe even his next 3 fights, or however many fights, until he no longer has the spotlight? If that happens, will that higher power continue to love and accept Jake if he loses everything again? Because ever since Jake was a child, he wanted to be unconditionally loved and accepted apart from having achieved great things. And really, I think at some level, that's what all of us want. But when it comes to getting that acceptance from God, acceptance in religion is always conditional and always based on performance. In other words, God will accept you as long as you're good and accomplish a certain amount of things. God has standards that need to be met. But as I studied the different religions, one thing that I found to be different about Christianity is the one thing that I think Jake's heart craves the most. Think about what this would mean for Jake if he believed it. Only in Christianity does God love us so much that he was willing to put on human flesh, come into our world, and live the perfect life that we couldn't live, died and rose again, and offered the life that he lived to us as a sacrifice in our place. So that way, when we stand before God, our salvation is judged by the life that he lived rather than the life that we lived. So the point here is that when it comes to God's standards that need to be met, on Christianity, they were met by the life of Jesus Christ. So that way we can accept his life on our behalf as a free and undeserved gift. So now, I want you to really think about what these implications would have for someone like Jake. If Jake no longer succeeds and he fails, then people will stop showing him love and acceptance, and the haters will continue to laugh at him until he vanishes out of the spotlight.
I lose, the whole world's laughing. The whole world's like, yeah, we told this kid.
As a result, when it comes to Jake's view of his higher power, he would have failed his higher power and his life's purpose, and would likely be punished with regret, resentment, and shame, reiterating to him that he's not worthy of unconditional love and acceptance. But if Jake were to accept the Christian view of God, if he fails God, he won't be met with shame and condemnation, but instead, he'll be met with open arms and forgiveness. Think about it. The same unconditional acceptance that Jake always hoped to get from his parents, an acceptance that doesn't depend on personal performance, is the same acceptance that the Bible says that Jake will receive for just trusting in Christ for his salvation. What Jake has always wanted was to be in a family where unconditional love and acceptance was something that was received rather than achieved. And that's exactly what God offers us in the Bible. In Christ, we'll never fall into condemnation, and our success and our failures don't define us. Instead, our identity is found in the success that Jesus had, not the conditional success that we try to achieve in this temporary and fleeting life. So no matter if no one else on this planet found Jake valuable and worthy of love and acceptance, then Jake would still be able to know that the creator of the entire universe does. And he can know that he would be safe in God's promise for all of eternity. The gift is standing there right in front of him. All he has to do is accept it. And the same goes for you as well. But maybe Jake and those of us that relate to him feel like we've messed up so much that God couldn't possibly accept us. If you're feeling that way, go ahead and click on this video to hear my thoughts about it by analyzing the life of Jeffrey Dahmer. But the next time that you find yourself trusting in your achievements in order to justify your existence, what are you gonna say? What do you mean?